The rain is pouring down on the track as the drivers line up for the final qualifying of the season here today at Donington Park. Hello everybody and welcome back to the RCI Friday GT Sprint Championship. My name is Tim Peck, joined today in the booth by Austin Devonshire, and we have Stewie behind the cameras. Austin, it's the final race of the season, and what a track to pick for the final race.
I mean, this is by far and away, I think, the best track in the game. Like it flows so well. There's good opportunities for racing, despite it being quite tight as well. It's a great test of just the individual skill and the skill of people and the people's ability just to basically race in the traffic as well. And made all the more complicated by the weather conditions today, which I'm going to be honest, Tim, I'm a bit upset about because look out the window in real life, it's raining. I look out the window of the comments box onto the track and it's raining. I just can't get away from it.
Well, you know, realistic weather and being in Britain means we're basically destined for rain towards the end of this championship. The good news, though, is that Donington Park is still a very fun track to watch in the rain. Plenty of overtaking opportunities for batting out on the field as well. Well, we have 20 minutes of qualifying today. The first 10 minutes will be an opportunity for the silver class drivers to go out on track and set the fastest lap time. And they'll get 1 minute to come back into the pit lane where they'll park their cars. And then it's time for the pro class drivers to go out onto the track and they'll get the 10 minutes to the end at their fastest time. So already you can see drivers out on the track. Chris van der Linde, one of the first of the silver class, the track for Donington here in qualifying. And you know what, Austin? Rain can, I was sort of touching on earlier, rain can slow down a race. You know, it can make it so that it's nearly impossible to overtake. You don't see a lot of action. I'd argue that Donington Park is one of those tracks where you just don't see that happen. I feel like every time I've come to Donington Park and it's been raining, there's been just as much battling as there has in the rain.
Wait, you've been to Donington Park in the dry? That's the big question. No, no, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Again, I think it comes down to the track's pacing. It's one of those tracks that works equally as well as both a hot lap track and as a racetrack. You know, there's certain tracks that are so hard to overtake. In Monaco, for example, you know, we're talking about it with Formula One. Oh, big slide on the curb there. But we talk about it in Formula One, how Monaco is such a tight circuit that it's really hard to kind of go side by side. There's not really that many overtaking spots. But I feel like Donington's a really good mix of that. So in terms of the way the track's paced and the way the track is kind of laid out, no, I can totally see what you mean by the rain not really having too big of an effect. But we'll have to find out. I'm expecting the order to switch up just a little bit, especially down in the Anfield. The pro guys are so talented that you know they've got the experience in these kinds of conditions. But we don't see, all in all, we don't see wet weather all that often. I know we had the joke that RCI stands for rain constantly inbound, but I think some of the AM guys, they're not going to have quite as much experience in these conditions, and that's really going to shake up the field.
It certainly does feel like across the summer, all the championships we run then, we didn't see a whole lot of rain out on track for most of those races. I think it might have actually been the first wet race I've seen in a very long time across this year, but you can see drivers already starting to set some times. Wilkinson, a provisional pole in the silver class, their lap time of a 1:32.3. Time to beat Chris van der Linde crossing the line just 4 tenths, almost 5 off the back of that. That was the driver we were bothered for most of the lap there, as Snooty McFlued now taking that top spot, breaking into the 1:31.6. And Austin, if you take your eyes up to the top right hand side of the screen where you've got the weather forecast, lighter rain in 30 minutes time. And one thing about qualifying in the rain is that you can never really tell how hard it is raining, and that means lap times can get very variable. You basically just have to hope you're on a lap when the rain isn't pouring quite as hard as it has been the rest of the time, and you might get some really interesting times here, and you could see a lot of very variable and different times across the field. Right now, Sunil is the only person in the 1:31s. Currently, the nearest competitor, Reece Wilkinson, is 6 tenths off, so it does look like the rain has been letting up slightly in the early stages.
Yeah, you should see his dry line starting to form as well at some point in time as well, especially if the rain is starting to kind of alleviate. But yeah, that's half an hour's time with only 16 minutes of the session remaining. So we'll have to see what the race session brings. But Sidney McFluid coming in with the 1:31.640. Reece Wilkinson half a second behind, but there's still time for the AM class cars to sort of improve on that.
There absolutely is. Richard Whitehall crossing the line now. Have they improved their lap time? They have. It's a huge improvement for them, taking them up to third place, although getting replaced almost instantly by Zorakic, who's line themselves. You can see as qualifying goes on, these lap times just improving across the field. Stefano Ricciardo coming round the final couple of hairpins now, up on their delta as well. Now I'm seeing a lot of green across the field again, Austin, which suggests that rain is getting that little bit lighter in qualifying. And when you get a qualifying session like this, the best tactic really is to be the last person to cross the line, because you get the highest chance of the lowest amount of rain, likely to have a low lap time as well. So it might be a case here of who's the last to the finish line, might have the fastest lap time and the best shot at pole position.
And don't forget, that's when your margin for error also decreases as well. It's already small and narrow enough as it is. Zoricic setting another faster time, well, improving on their last. Sorry, the hay bale knocked into the middle of the chicane, then into the S's. But no, Zoricic coming up on their time, moving up to P3. Actually, not to P3. Reese Wilkinson coming in only 2/10 behind McFlood.
Zoricic now just going round the final couple of hairpins. We're saying currently massively up on their delta, so this will be enough to put them in pole position if they can hold it together through that final corner line. Is it going to be enough? Have a look. Yes, it is. That's a 131.1, almost breaking into the 130s here at Donington Park. Soon Food voted down into that second place spot as Zoricic now takes the provisional pole. Ted Edwards yet to set a lap time here today, Austin. They're going to want to try and set one before the end of the session, and they need to try and set a fast one as well, because still very well taking it nice and easy for a couple of laps just to get a provisional lap time in. When it's wet weather and you have that bigger margin for error, that means that you don't get a lot of time to set that fastest lap that you want. But Ted Edwards crossing the line right now, that's enough to put them up, and I'm sure they're going to be happy with this late qualifying appearance.
I mean, that's a pretty decent time on the board there for Ted Woods. No, I mean, probably P3 on the provisional side of things. That's from having no time at all. That's the kind of thing you want to do. That's a good kind of confidence boost there. So just to kind of push into a second lap. With all coming through the S's now, and again, you want to be so careful hitting those painted curves, because in these conditions, these cars have really kind of advanced traction control systems. They're not the same as the road car counterparts, but they will not help you if you get the car into a bit of a slide on those curves, because there's just no friction there, nothing for the tyres to bite onto. As we're coming around Goddard's now, is it enough to actually improve on their time? I think that's one of the Ibiza racing cars up ahead as well. It's also crossing the line as well, but Rithel will cross the line and will remain P7.
Whiffle not quite able to improve their lap time there. The delta more or less the same as they crossed. Continuing to improve on their lap time, but not enough to retake that pole position that they originally held on to as well. And Edwards coming around at the final couple of hairpins too to try and improve their lap time, see if they can take look at the pole position as well. But Austin, we've talked about how the rain, it affects your qualifying. Lap times are slower, get as many laps as you want, and also it increases that margin for error. What I talked about today is the fact that you only really get 10 minutes in your class to set a lap time. That's not a whole lot of laps that you get to do. Yes, at Donington Park it's quite a short track. In the rain it's a 131 it's looking like for most of these drivers, but 10 minutes doesn't give you a whole lot of time. When you add the outlap into that, if you add any little mistakes into that as well, you've got a very small amount of laps to find that perfect one.
Yeah, no, that's just it. And when you've got a full class of cars out there, I mean, I've said this before on these streams, that finding that gap, finding the finding like your own kind of pocket of track to kind of be on, where you're not impeded by other cars, that becomes more difficult. And I think we can make, I'm not sure why we've cut away. I'm guessing this will be a race replay. I did see yellow flags on the track map there going down. I think it was the old hairpin, but I'm not entirely certain what's happened there.
Well, of course, a big warm welcome to all of you that are joining us today in the chat as well. See your messages pouring in. Michael Redford giving a little bit of a heads up before they go into their qualifying session for today in the pro class in about a minute's time, actually. And they were just saying that luckily for them, they have a setup for these exact conditions. It happened in night owl. So, that's another thing, Austin, is if you've got the setup for wet rain, that can really impact that type as well. Because let's say you came into this race expecting it to be dry, you're not prepared at all, you're making those final tweaks to make your setup more prepared for the wet weather. That takes time out of your qualifying session. Whereas if you come into this and you've already got a setup that's optimal for wet weather, that in itself is good, that extra little bit of an advantage over your opponents.
No, that's just it. And again, it comes down to experience as well. If you've got the setup for the wet weather, you've probably driven this track in these conditions before. As Van der Linde goes P2 overall. I mean, Van der Linde's been the racing's, I think, the kind of hair, I guess. The kind of, I don't want to, I don't want to say the words faster driver, but Van der Linde has, the last few races especially been up there. But no, P2 overall, and that's as the session ends too. So that will count for the silver class, or at least the AM class, positioning.
Well, that's it for the qualifying for class A. You can see now Zorkic will be your pole sitter. And for today, Chris van der Linde will line up in second place with Food, just behind in third. Ted Edwards, Wilkinson, Partes, Whittle, Aragon, Ricciardo and Culpers are the rest of your top 10 for today for the AM class. Now it's time for the pros to get out on track and set their fastest times out on the field. And Boardman, the first of the pros to take to the field. They're currently on out lap right now, but already seem to be flying around the track. A huge gap splits them up from the nearest pro, Daly, who's the next in line behind Boardman here. But Andy Boardman, we've talked about them a lot in previous championships, also done quite a lot in this one as well. Someone who you expect to see fighting very high up in the field. Only sitting in fifth place overall in the championship after fourth place as their highest finish of the season. Do you think we'll see them on the podium today? It feels like we've gone a while without seeing Andy Boardman make that podium spot.
Yeah, and I remember just a few seasons ago where was it Boardman and Verstappen were fighting. It was literally each week it was just trading places for who was leading the championship, and it's been a while I think since we've seen Boardman up there fighting that kind of fight. But with having Verstappen on the field right now, especially, that means that there's almost for sure podium position just kind of opened up there. But yeah, no, I think Boardman has a really, really strong opportunity to kind of make a disruption. He's definitely one of the names to watch this time round. I mean, Daly as well, another name, Berenic as well, has been really, really fast all season. So we've got, even without Verstappen here, it kind of, it's kind of easy to focus on the driver you see winning absolutely everything. But no, there's still some incredibly quick drivers out today, and a lot of names to keep an eye out for.
Well, you just heard it, but Christopher Shepard not making an appearance today would be a huge deal. That would blow the championship wide open. Unfortunately for every other driver on the grid, going to be the case. Christopher Shepard scoring enough points across the first 5 rounds of this season, the championship winner, no matter results from today's race. However, the fight for second place is still very much wide open. Jordan Daly lines up in second currently, with Rennick and John Kick lining up in third and fourth respectively behind. All 3 of them in the battle right now could take home second place in the championship overall today. 3 of them fighting out on track as Andy Boardman here comes to the line. They set a lap time of a 1:31.137, which is enough to put them ahead of the entire AM class field. That's really all you can ask for on the first lap, Austin, is so you're towards the front. It doesn't have to be the best time you can do. Good bank lap to fall back on.
No, but that's exactly it. That's what I was saying. That's what I was praising about Ted Edwards. With that third place provisional kind of first lap that they set. It's like once you get a time on the board, you get your delta up at the top corner. Then you start knowing where you're gaining and losing time, and you know that you're not starting absolutely dead last at that point. You can. You've got some margin to kind of push the car and actually set the faster times, and that's exactly what you need to do in these situations. Tutic currently holding the provisional pole position, Boardman provisional third place, Berenic provisional second. So, I mean, it's still 6 minutes of this quali to go as we see that's Daly going wide down in the old hairpin there, just skating it along the grass, and it goes to show just how much they're pushing the car despite the conditions.
Absolutely, in sector 2, a very sketchy section of this track. You have to throw yourself into the corners, and the wet weather, that can be very difficult without losing grip on the car. But Kevin Tutic, the first in this session and the only to break into the 1:30 lap times. 1:30.852 secures them a nice provisional pole. Daly, like you said earlier, Austin, a driver to look out for, has been absolutely battering the curbs in this track. A bit wide in the exit of the chicane there. That's not good for the car. We'll slow the momentum a little bit. Great lap as well. Yet to set lap time is Jordan Daly, the only driver on the field. Not set one yet. You can Rennick and Boardman also in the top 3. They're split themselves up from the rest of the field with a pack of AMs behind them as Jordan Daly now heads towards the line to set their lap time. fully set.
I wonder if Mr. Palmer needed the grass cutting because that BMW turned into a little bit of a lawnmower towards the end there. But fifth place provisional again. That's the banker lap in. That's Baranic as well going provisional first with that lap time as well, just with that slight improvement with a 1:30.705. Again, as we see, you said it before, Tim. The track is drying out. It's projected to keep drying out. We expect to see a bit more of a dry line kind of form. I think you can kind of actually just about see it in some of the camera shots on the trackside cameras. So the drivers will be trying to follow that dry line that's forming as the cars displace the water on the track, and that's just where you just get a little bit more grip.
Absolutely. Daniel Durrett for Beast Racing heading into the final sector. Now got 2 hairpins left to go before they cross the line. Daniel Durrett, driver who you see often towards the top of the field fighting in that top 5. Right now they're sitting all the way down in 12th overall. They've got a load of AM cars ahead of them, splitting them up from the rest of the pro field. But they do kick just ahead in this qualifying session. So rainy conditions brings a mixed field as they come across the line. It's not an improvement on their lap. Kick, a driver that really needs improvement here, but it's still not enough to get them out of P11. Austin, these wet weather conditions, they're really mixing up the field. One of the most even spreads we've seen of pro and am drivers in mixed positions, and to blow the championship wide open. If Reddit can get away with a pole position here and Kick and Daly get stuck in the midfield, very, very good for Brennick in the championship.
That's amazing news, actually. This is like one of the best things that they could hope for. But I mean, there's still 3 minutes to go, and I mean, I know the likes of Daly have only really set one time so far. Boardman currently sits P2 provisionally as well, but half a second behind Brennick. That's, if I'm Donington, half a second with like 5 tenths of a second is huge when you compare it to the rest of the field. But again, maybe the conditions kind of lessen that a little bit, you could argue. So we'll have to see as John Drake comes down towards the S's now into the braking zone. How hard are they going to hit the curbs? And actually hitting them quite hard. You'd think they'd be a little bit conservative, but from what I'm seeing so far, I mean, in the top 5 running, like 3 of those cars are Lamborghinis, and one of which is the Lamborghini-derived Audi, and that's a car resetting back to pits as well. I believe that might have been Durrett or Redford. No, Durrett or Redford.
Redford is the car that has returned to the pit lane as Jean-Kick now coming around to the final corner. It's going to be a drag race down to the start-finish line for them, and what they did have in Delta gone by the time they got to the end of this lap. Austin, as they were entering into sector 3 there, I took a sneak peek at their Delta, 8 tenths of a second up on their previous fastest lap time. That was enough to get the way up into the top 5, even into the top 3. But that's the thing, is you can find all of this pace somewhere else in the lap. Take nothing but one corner to take that all back away from you. So Jean-Kick here, it's really a case of finding that pace again across the lap, then being able to keep it through the final 2 corners, because it's those 2 hairpins that can be quite technical. If you don't nail them exactly as you did the first time, you'll be able to get that time back. So for Jean-Kick here, their aim is just to not really improve their lap time in sector 3, but to keep it the same as it was and then improve across the rest of the lap, where they now know that they can easily find about 8 tenths of a second.
That's it. And that 8 tenths of a second is going to help them out massively. That's going to put them right into like kind of their own running, just behind the likes of Daly, Zoricic, and Van der Linde. So really puts them up at the front there. But yeah, this going into Murray's now, it was no, not Murray's, Melbourne Loop. Sorry, I'm getting my tracks mixed up. I'm still in Australia. I'm still at Bathurst, Tim. But no, going through Melbourne Loop. That's the connection. There we go. But no, going through Goddard's now. Is it going to be enough to actually improve on that time and keep that delta? It is. It's going to put them into 8th place provisionally, just ahead of Ted Edwards. But it's still, again, we sit back to pits, only 30 seconds. Didn't take advantage of the fact that they could have squeezed in another lap. But we're starting to get down into the nitty-gritty of it. Daly up into P4, Boardman P3, Tutic P2. So, yeah, the all is getting quite mixed up at the closing stages of qualifying.
Kick there, improving on their lap time, but not by as much as they really wanted to. As qualifying now hits the 0 mark, any drivers left crossing the line, this will be their final lap, which is every driver on the field right now. Andy Borman going to be the first to set their final lap. Clubber in the inside curb there. If that will actually count, because I believe they may have cut the track, but can really take a lot of the curb on that chicane, Austin. They may still be valid here as Bournemouth coming around the final couple of hairpins. That time they're on right now, the delta is enough to put them in contention for this provisional pole position. We'll see if they've managed to keep it and if it is a valid lap as they come around the final corner now. They'll sprint down towards the start-finish straight, and it is a valid lap, enough to put them up into P2. A couple of hundredths off the back of Brennick there. Andy Boardman with amazing qualifying starts at P2 for this race, unless else lifts a candle to that. Mike Redford coming around the final couple of corners now, definitely improving on their delta, as they've yet to set a lap time that really can be happy with here today. Enough though to put them up into the order once they have crossed the line. So this is a really important lap now for Mike Redford. It's the first lap they've been able to get together the way they want to. It's enough to put them up into P14. Improvement from starting right at the back. But there you have it, folks. Those will be your final standings qualifying today. Brennick starts on pole position at a time of a 1:30.422. Hundredths of them is Andy Boardman in second place, with Kevin Tutick rounding out the top three. John Daly, Zorakik, Vanderlind, Stevie McFood, John Kick, and Ted Edwards. Your top nine with Reese Wilkinson in that 10th place spot. Austin, what a qualifying session that was, and there's going to be one winner from qualifying today. Brennick is looking very happy with their chances at second place in the championship overall.
This is true, but I think some of the drivers were also struggling with the rain. And if you look at the weather, I mean, I've been keeping an eye on the chat. That's Kerrigan and is it Timar really hoping for the dry run. And I know that Redford was just struggling for a second there as well. So it looks like we do have the dry race that they've been asking for.
I saw in chat that they said they were going to start doing a dry rain dance. And, well, it looks like the dry dance has worked here. So these are the standings going into the final race of the season. Christopher Streppen, championship winner, can't lose today despite not even showing up, has 151 points. Daly in second place will be defending that second place today. They've got 119. 3 points behind them is Brennick, who starts on pole for Donington Park in today's race. John Kick, 3 points behind, fourth overall. The other driver in the fight for P2 in the standings, Andy Boardman, had a great qualifying session today. They're in P5 with 95 points. Kevin Tutick, starting in that final place on the podium, has 80 points, and they're in P6 in the standings. Robert Alavi has 79 points. They're P7 with Raphael Huell behind them with 66 points in P8. Daniel Durrett, George Barr are tied for 9th place, and they'll round out top 10. Got Mike Redford in that P11 slot with 26 points. Claudio Zaza, 23 points, is for 12th place in the standing sitter. Everyone with a little hyphen next to the name has since signed out of the championship.
So going into the silver class now, Snooty McFluid leading the championship with 144 points. Stefano Ricciardo in second place with 118. Ted Edwards in P3 with 107, trailed by P4 with Cartes with 100 points. Very closely trailed by Withall, trailed themselves by Withall with 98 points in P5. P6 is Zoricic. P7 is Reese Wilkinson. P8 is Lee Kettle. P9 is Batalon with 51 points. Ibiza Racer with 48 points in P10. That closes out the top 10 at the very least. P11 is Callum Kerrigan with 40 points. Chris van der Linden in 12th place with 26 points. 22 points. 13th place is Louis Villamass. 14th place is Kuipers. 15th is Roos. And 16th is Fernandez. And everybody else with the dash in their name has signed out.
Well, that's how the championship standings are looking as we go into the final race today. Again, just to remind that Christopher Streppen was your championship winner. They won last week at... then they came second, last week at Watkins Glen, and that was enough to secure them the win in the championship overall. They are not in attendance today, but the championship fight for second place still very much wide open. John Daly, Romano Brennick, and Jean Kick Three drivers fighting for that second place spot. Rennick being the Lambo on the left-hand side of your screen right now, mixed together with the black backdrop. Very nice looking livery on that car as we now take a trip down the grid, take a look at some of the liveries will have been designed in the ACC tool, some of which have been designed by the competitors outside of ACC, and that's when you see a bit more personalization, like the car on your right now by Anasol, the number 197. Of course, the car of John Daly, one of the competitors today, who's hoping to defend their second place in the championship standings overall. But Austin, dry weather now at Donington Park. It's the weather that everyone has been claiming that they've been wanting this whole time. So after a very wet qualifying, now get to see everyone's pace in the dry across an hour-long race.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's going to show the weaknesses and the strength of the people that qualified, strongly in the wet. But I suppose those strengths are going to have to very, very quickly adapt and carry over to the weather conditions, because the guys that that are really quick behind, again, like, can you imagine being in Brennich's position? I mean, Brennich is really quick in themselves, but having the likes of Boardman and Daly that is kind of breathing down on you, like, I don't envy that position, Tim.
That is a very scary set of drivers up there towards the top of the field today. And something that I think is definitely worth mentioning is something that we talk about quite a lot across this whole season, Austin. Drivers are in the AM class there, not in the pro class. They're slow by any standard. Today's qualifying session absolutely proved that, with Ivo Zorocic, Chris van der Linden and Stuart Flood all lining up ahead of some of the pro drivers. Ed Edwards, Rita Wilkinson and Partez lining up ahead of a couple of pros themselves as well. So, AM class, it doesn't mean you're slow, that maybe you don't have the same experience as some of the other drivers and work on things like consistency and pace across a number of tracks rather than just one. But I think that's something that's going to be interesting today. Donington Park, it seems like a track a lot of these drivers are comfortable with, as they've kept mentioning in the chats that Park is a race they've looked out for today. I think we could be in for a very exciting race with some interesting results up the top of the field.
Oh yeah, I mean, the other thing as well is I want to see how these opening laps play out, because we've seen it before, like both at RCI, both in real life as well. I also want to make a reference to British GT 2021, the summer race, because the British GT have two races here at Donington Park. But I remember I was in attendance for the summer one, and turn one, was it two of the Lamborghinis turned each other? It's a very tight entry going into Redgate. And I mean, if that's happening in real life, then how how much argy-bargy are the cars going to give each other here in the sim today? And it's also worth noting as well that this race is live stewarded alongside everything. So if there is any argy-bargy, I'm fairly certain they'll draw the wrath of those guys.
Austin, I'm sure you'll remember this, but if you cast yourself back a year and a half ago, me and you commentating on the GT4 Thursday Championship here at Donington Park. First ever races RCI did at Donington Park, and say there was a huge pile-up at the bottom of the hill would be an understatement. It was a bit far after the race start. I think we were 5 or so minutes in when all the cars piled up at the bottom of the hill, and it really was a spectacle of a load of cars stationary trying to regain their footing on the track. So hopefully we're not in for a repeat of that today. Dry weather hopefully being less of a chance for that, as well as drivers already coming through the chicane, lining up towards the final two hairpins for today at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to find out. Like, not long now till we go green on the to start this race, and I mean, it's starting to go double file now, and I mean, I say this every single stream, and it still holds true. Like, it doesn't ever kind of ease up. This is the most anxious part of the race, both I think for me as a racer and as someone kind of watching and commentating, just because anything could happen. There's so much potential. There's so many possibilities. Bradic in the lead in P1, Bodman P2, and Dave. Well, that's Tutic. So Tutic P2 and Bodman P3. This man, yeah, no, this is going to be good.
Romano Berenic lines up on pole, go into the final race of the season. Next to them, Andy Boardman is off to what looks like a flying start. They just seem to be just ahead of Berenic, actually, coming now across the start-finish line. That's a huge advantage on the run down to the first corner, but with it, Berenic now on the attack back. accelerating quicker. That means that they'll get to the corner first. Bournemouth falling back behind, which puts Kevin Tutic back into the mix as well as John Daly now
Daly though.
off that position. That'll put them up into P3, and now the chase is on. Daly finding Rennick.
There we go. That's some of the pace that we're kind of like sort of expecting some of the drivers to find. And Daly just kind of squeezing in just alongside there. And that's one of the drivers as well going out onto the grass. They're going through the old hairpin. I'm not sure which car that one actually is, but everything so far so good. Look at the track map. No one spud. There's no yellow flags, so it's actually quite tame. As who's not making a move down into Coppice, so they've made it happen. And that move was stuck. But yeah, no, this is the stage of the race where everything's going to get ordered up, and there's been an accident somewhere along back towards Coppice. That's the 195 as well.
Yeah, the 195 car, what I believe is the number 30, have had a bit of an incident. That was not number 30, I do apologise. It's number 28, I believe. But they've had a bit of an incident going into that final, not final corner, the final corner in the sector. Right-hander there. And a bit of information to what's happened there in a second. You can see the two cars coming along the other side of the straight, across the hairpin there. But as we go in now across the first lap for the first time, Rennick still in the lead of this race. Andy Boardman lines up in second with John Daly slicing their way up into third. Kevin Tutic falling off the back though of the head pack. 1.2 seconds them up from the top three. Don Kick, your other fighter for second place in the championship overall, finds himself stuck in the middle of the silver class field right now. They've got Ted Edwards to clear and Zorkic as well before they're back into fighting for points in their own class. So got a little bit of climbing to do as we see Reece Wilkinson now for the Spinala Motorsport car, the number 6 Ferrari. They're trying to navigate their way through the field. Mike Redford, who got a good qualifying lap towards the end of the session, trying to fight their way up through the field right now. And that's what I feel like we're going to be in for the start of this race also, is those drivers that feel maybe a bit misplaced after qualifying. Got a lot of climbing to do in this early stage.
That's just it. That's it. There's not a whole lot of time to do it. Vanderlyn's fighting off the likes of Snooty McFluid again. Oh wait, no. Wait, as I say, Nick Fluid, Porsche things have happened. The back end steps out. McFluid losing places, sliding onto the grass, coming out on the exit of the S. It's just that there is that inside curve there, and I think the car just got a little bit unsettled, but that has just set them back. For I believe McFluid was is the silver lead, the silver championship lead.
Mike Redford neck and neck. Whiffle here as they come around the corner. Sorry, that's Snooty McFluid. I do apologise. Snooty McFluid though, able to just stay ahead there. Will hold on to that 12th place. Mike Redford back for 13th overall. Get a race replay here from the beginning of the race. Daniel Durrett got up in this. You go off a little slide on the side and then almost taking out the green car on your right. Actually, sorry, the green car is Daniel Durrett, but the car went off the side there. Left there, almost took out Daniel Durrett at the very beginning of this race. That was Redford going off at the side. And that's what happened towards the start of this race. Another race replay is going to show us another view. Daniel Durrett yet again in the spotlight here. This time different place. So they're the one that got caught. It was the number 30 got caught by the 195 of Partes earlier on that first lap. So Daniel Durrett getting bullied a little bit at the beginning here, Austin.
That's just it. I'm currently sitting in P17. There's the opportunity to kind of make some of that space back, but it's still a long race and anything can happen. And given how close some of these guys are, and speaking of close, look at that. That's Daly on the back of Bob, and Bob currently holding the fastest lap of the race so far in the opening stages. So you'd think at least on pace, Bobman would have it, but I mean, this is Daly we're talking about. Daly is one of the drivers in contention for P2 in this championship, and they're really showing you exactly why that is. And I mean, Daly's really stepped up this championship, though, don't you think? I mean, they won at it was not Watkins, it was Bathurst, I believe. Daly won, if I'm not mistaken. But no, they have a race win under their belt for this season. But they're really stepping up as they get alongside down the old hairpin and just take that space and maybe pushes Boardman a little bit wide.
Boardman making damage with the wall there. Flies off the field and will rejoin the circuit, but fortunately for them, that's going to be a load of damage on the front body of that car. That was quite an impact with the wall that they made after that tassel on Daly, the stewards will be paying attention to that as Bournemouth now goes for a nice trip off, cutting the grass at the side of the track here. They're probably going to have to call this car back to the pit lane, Austin, as I don't think Bournemouth. Yeah, well, yeah, it looks like they're just trying to stay out of driver's way off the side of the track here. The way towards the pit lane. Of course, the pit window in this race doesn't open until 35 minutes remaining on the clock, and then it will close again when 25 minutes are remaining in this race. Any drivers have to pit now, like Boardman, and they won't serve the mandatory pit stop, and they will have to pit yet again later on. Austin, though, just to go back onto your point that you were saying about John Daly, yes, they really have picked up in this race replay here. This is between Andy Bourman and what happens here. John Daly and Andy Bourman get very close to each other. Bourman there maybe just going a bit wide and underestimating how much the grass is going to throw them out. There was an initial contact, but I don't think you can fully blame Daly. However, I'm glad I'm not a steward there, because the stewards will have all the angles. But sorry, to go back to what I was saying, Austin, on what you were saying, John Daly, yes, they've been very surprising in this championship. They got a race with Laguna Seca. Don't forget, it was only a couple of Friday Champ seasons ago. I believe John Daly actually took home the championship title and was in contention with Verstappen for most of it as well. So John Daly, across the year as a whole, has definitely been on the drivers towards the front of the field, and now fighting again at the top. I feel like this is where we're going to be seeing Daly from now on.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, I remember when I first started commentating, Daly was one of the drivers to watch, and then I don't think it was that Daly kind of dropped off. I think it's that everyone just got so good, you know. That's when I started seeing the likes of Verstappen and Boardman having that huge fight as well. And you saw Daly kind of fall back into still within the top 10, but lately, you know, you've seen Daly kind of step back into those podium positions, and I mean, it's always good to see. It was good to see when there's more competition here at RCI and in sim racing as a whole. Reece Wilkinson making the move on Whittle and making it stick, going down into the Melbourne loop there. But can they hold it off into Goddard's? They've got the inside line, which is the beneficial line. Whittle taking the outside, getting slightly ahead, but I don't think that's going to be enough to hold on to it, as Wilkinson has the lead heading down into Redgate. Baranich with the fastest lap of the race leader so far. Daly will be chasing them down, but so far it's been a pretty action-packed race, Tim.
Donington Park always bringing the action and some great battles across the track. Sitting with food for the Flying Hellfish team, the number 48. Now looking for a way through. Michael Redford ahead. This is a battle between a silver class and a pro class driver. However, that doesn't mean by any means silver class drivers have to yield at all, and actually for both Whittle and Wilkinson right now, I think they'll be quite happy that Redford is caught up in this mix, although Redford now wants to climb through the field. They've picked off Whittle with ease already. Very quick move from Redford there puts them up that P10 slot. Now they're going to turn their attention to Wilkinson, who watching from the rear wing on now, back on to Redford as the camera here of the back of Whittle. It's a big battle here happening for but fourth place, in the silver class overall. Redford caught in the middle of it, Austin.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's not where you want it to be. I know Redford has the pace to kind of pull themselves out of this. As Whittle turns into Snooty there, I'm not entirely certain who that was on. I mean, Snooty did kind of go for the move, but again, that'll come down to a stewarding decision, I think, if anything. It doesn't look like it hurt people too badly. Yeah, it's quite an erratic line going into the inside, actually. But no, again, we're not really the ones to judge from inside the box here. It was a very ambitious move. Ted Edwards, 5th place, chasing down Zoricic. And again, Tim, another driver that's really stepped up this season is Ted. You know, again, we're starting to see those top 10 finishes. We're starting to see those results kind of come in. And I know they're coming. I know they're kind of in the Anfield right now at the moment. But again, I think it's the opportunity for them to maybe make that step up at some point soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Ted Edwards fighting right now for championship, the top 3 in the silver field. But you know, right now they've had some great race results, like you just said. Currently battling for the lead in this race for the silver class. A little update for you guys: an incident on lap 1, turn 8, involving cars number 13, the 195, which we thought was Daniel Drett and Partez in that situation. Partez was given a 15-second penalty for taking out Daniel Drett. Was returned, only a 15-second penalty for them rather than a drive-through, but You can see Artes right at the bottom of the field now. P17, 15 seconds slapped on for a penalty. They're going to have taken a pit stop. That's only going to set back the 195 more and make that recovery drive a whole lot more difficult.
And that's just it. And getting getting caught out like that is it's not the fun time. Clearly, with the 5-second penalty as well, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that that was for the incident involving Boardman. And it looked like the contact between the two was relatively light, but just Boardman kind of ran a little bit wide and didn't maybe have quite as much room as they really should have been given. So it makes sense for the 5-second penalty to be for that, but. And we'll confirm that in just a moment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Austin. You guessed that it's John Daly picking up that 5 seconds for forcing number 6 of Andy Boardman off the track there. Well, you see the 5 seconds on the 197's car, but you know it's like we said, John Daly I don't think was specifically to blame for Andy Boardman going fully into the wall and damaging their car, but that initial contact did cause Boardman to go wide, which have been, butterfly effect from there. That being said, Andy Boardman has since retired from this race. They will no longer be participating, as we see an overtake here. Artes gaining that position on the 296 driver. At 50 penalty, they're going to pick up that pace a little bit more in order to keep that position by the end of this race. But yeah, Austin, I think that's a tough one for John Daly, because they didn't directly cause Andy Boardman to retire from this race. They didn't cause all that damage, but that initial tap probably didn't help with things and led to the spin out as a whole.
That's just it. I mean, in my eyes, the aggression was bang on point from Daly. It's the kind of thing we've kind of come to see from them recently. Just kind of like these assertive moves. But yeah, maybe it was a small tiptoey step too far with the contact, but those things are never intentional. They're just it's the way these things sadly fall. We see Snooty McFluid making a move on to Whittle, going down into Redgate, and pulling up alongside, gets the later exit. Whittle gets a little bit of a wiggle on the exit, actually runs a little bit onto the grass, which allows the inside to to Donington Craners to Snooty. And the agility of the Porsche just kind of trumps the just a little bit, which gives them that P11 spot as McFluid starts their own recovery drive through the field.
Dude, your championship leader for the silver class right now, or earlier, 144 points sets them ahead of the field with Arno Ricciardo in that second place slot and Ted Edwards final slot of that podium. So City McFluid right now, yes, they're a bit further down the field than they want to be. Look at their actual competitors. I mean, Ricciardo isn't exactly where they want to be on the track right now either. Yes, Ted Edwards is currently holding on to that second place in class and fighting to be up in first. But Ted Edwards is currently sitting third place in the championship. And to be honest with you, as it's standing, that's even if they win this race, that's not going to be enough to win the championship as a whole. So, City McFluid, they're on a recovery drive for this race a bit. But I think they're going to be able to take it calmly, not make these rushed overtakes that you sometimes see on recovery drives, because they've got that reassurance of, yes, you need to finish high, but you can probably get away with a top 5 and still take home the championship.
That's it. It's an opportunity just to have a little bit of fun with it, just kind of, just settle down into a groove, and if anything, just kind of practice your racecraft with the cars around you, as Mike Redford is also fighting off. We cut straight to. He made a pass on Stewie. He had saying Redford made the pass on Wilkinson. John Jick chasing down Ted Edwards still. And if I didn't know any better, Tim, I'd say Edwards is maybe stuck behind Zorzic a little bit here, because it looks like they've got the pace but doesn't have the opportunity to overtake. And speaking of opportunities to overtake, that looked like it was John Jick trying to make something of Ted Edwards there. You see the Lambo just dive to the inside and realizes very quickly that door is not going to stay open forever.
It absolutely isn't. This battle still continues. Zoricic holding on to that P4. Ted Edwards trying to line up behind them, that overtaken. Maybe you're right here, Austin. Ted Edwards does look like they've definitely had the pace to take on Zoricic here. it's just a matter of finding the place to do it, and they've decided
Oh,
that down the hill is where they're going to go for it here. Ted Edwards pulling up alongside the Lamborghini of Zorkic. They're going to have the advantage once they get to the bottom of the hill, but too wide here could spell problems if neither backs
oh,
out. And Zorkic
oh,
losing the grip on the exit, taking out
Tragic as well.
Zorkic and Arlavi in the process there. That's going to spell the end of the race. 4, 5, 6, and 7. As Ted Edwards gains a position, Zorkic losing grip causes collateral damage across the pro field.
Yeah, it looked like Zazic kind of just backed out just to try and give Edwards a little bit more room. Nothing on Edwards there, but for Edwards, that was, again, Edwards attempting the same kind of thing that Daly attempted earlier into the same corner, just applying the pressure a little bit. And I think, if anything, Zazic maybe overreacted just a little bit. Let's watch this again. Edwards gets by. Zazic is kind of lifted, loses it on the curb, starts wiggling, and then takes out the other two Lamborghinis in the process. So that was one small Lamborghini moment turning into a major Lamborghini moment times 3.
So Zoricic's thought there is obviously that they can save the car. I mean, it's what you do. If you start to feel your car slipping on a corner like that, Austin, you instantly try to catch it. But I think for Zorkic there, the better decision would have actually been just to let the car fully spin to the right. That way you prevent yourself from taking out the 2 other drivers at the end of the situation, and you can just rejoin the track and continue. But, you know, it's that racing mentality of, oh no, I'm starting to slip, let's fix this and get back on track. But when you're coming out of a corner at speed like that, it's very hard to do and actually catch it properly. So because of that, there you see Zorkic probably lined up for a penalty themselves now, and all the way at the bottom of the field with damage on that car too. So unfortunate for the 175, but you know, you can't blame Ted Edwards for what happened there. They went for the overtake. It was a perfectly valid overtake. There was no contact between the 2 cars as well. Hey, that's just racing, and comes down to who's more daring going into the corner. Ted Edwards was the more daring one. Zorkic trying to back out, unable to catch the car. That's why we see that accident unfold. And Zorkic and Arlavi, they also got caught up at the end of that accident.
Oh, that's just it. They were just innocent bystanders, rather sadly. But it looks like Arlavi is on the move again now. They're looking at making the move on McFlood, and the damage to that car looks relatively minor, all things considered. That was a big hit, but I mean, when you compare the damage compared to what we saw on Andy Baldwin's car at the earlier on in this race, it's like, you know, the front end, at least the front end of the Lambo is at least in one piece. As it looks like they overshoot the braking zone just a little bit there. That could have been really bad news for Snooty. But yeah, Snooty currently sat P9. I think they're just letting Arlavi go. Arlavi's getting a little bit racy, and again, rightly so. They've got that recovery drive to do, but that aggression might be something to kind of watch out for. But another driver that's really benefited from all this is Redford. Like Redford, don't forget, Redford had the qualifying session of all time. in the wet, only just kind of setting like a time that kind of put them somewhere on the board at the last lap of the session. They've even been in the chat, you know, they've been in the YouTube chat. They've commented on the weather and how they couldn't get a good lap in. Now currently sitting in 6th place from back in the field, and as I say that, taking a bit of a detour into the grass.
Yeah, Mike Redford here, really capitalising off other people's losses, and started P15, now all the way up in P6. At the end of the day, you can't really argue with that. That's a great situation for Redford to be in. Also coming up to the rear of Van der Linde, Silvercast. That means that they've probably got the pace to clear them, as well as Ted Edwards now taking the lead in the Silverclass split. That's going to be good news for Ted Edwards, who's hoping for a win today. Their hope is that Sunil McFlood has some more misfortune, falls further down the field, and they can take home the championship overall. However, Sunil McFlood, a very good driver and has been very consistent across his championship. Again, Austin, who I would not be surprised to be promoted at the end of this season. But you know, we've got 40 minutes left in the race, 5 minutes left until that pit window opening. Drivers now picking up damage on their cars and penalties too. A very interesting pit window, some long pit stops, I feel.
Oh yeah, no, it's given how tight this track is, I'd imagine there's contacts we haven't picked up on either. You know, the people just kind of nudging and just getting a little bit too close. It's so easily done around here. But looking at more of the things, Partes, I think Partes is the 195. We saw them get the penalty earlier on. So we've gone through Daly's penalty, but Zoricic's penalty, that drive through, That drive-through is not issued by the stewards. At least it's not on the piece of paper that we've been handed. So I'm going to hazard a guess here and say that that drive-through might have been track limits.
Those of you new to ACC, cut the track in this game, you get a track cut warning. 3 warnings later, and the 4th time you cut the track, you end up with a drive-through penalty courtesy of the game for abusing the track limits way too much. And Ed Austin, that may have been the case for Zorokick there. We've not had any information of an accident report, although a drive-through penalty again could be coming Zorokick's way a second time if that was for track limits. Time for the takeout that we saw earlier could be coming Zorokick's way as well, so keep your eyes peeled on that. Now though,
as you say that, as you say that,
oh, no.
Incident on lap 11 T4 involving 175.24 and the 189. So
no, it's another one.
Wait, what?
It's another one. Zorokick's got another drive-through penalty
What?
after just serving it.
No, wait. What? So 175. So 175. DT for car 175. 175 loses control for causing takeout of 24. 189 cannot stop in time to avoid. So the 24 car is John Jick, and the 189 is Arlavi. So that was the crash down at the old hairpin. So is that? Yeah. So that's Zoricic being penalised for that 3 Lamborghini incident after serving a drive-through. So I'm wondering if one of the ones initially was for the track limits, and now there's a second one alongside as well. So that's heavy. I would say that took a moment to process. I don't know, Tim, you got very animated there for just a moment. That took a little bit to process, but I've never seen that before. That's insane.
That's insane. That's also not going to be great for Zorokick here. That is really going to set them back in this race. We're down in 17th for now, and once that time updates, I'm sure there's going to be a huge gap splitting them up from Holpers and Partez as well. Zorokick trying to recover, finds himself in 12th place. They're fighting through the field right now to the rear of Ricciardo. They're hoping to try and clear on the overtake now, but you know what, Austin? I've just seen something. Michael Redford has put in the chat on YouTube.
I was just about to say, I'm sorry, Tim. I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, has Redford stopped at some point? Is he in the pits or something? Has something happened? No, Redford is still out on track, by the way, guys. So that last chat message from Redford is whilst he's driving. What a mad lad.
Redford just chilling and typing at the same time in the car. You know, well, that's a talent in itself to be able to do so there, but whether that was a pre-made message, whether that was some sort of voice recorded as well, I don't know, but either way, being able to type as a drive is certainly something.
It looks hastily written, Tim. I think that might actually be typed out.
Yeah, that ending is, they're even...
There we go! There we go!
Watching along with this stream, chatting away to us whilst driving the car.
Concentrate on the road, man! Concentrate on the road, man. You're in 6th place. You're doing so well. You've made up so many places. We can talk to you after the race. But no, that's a talent. I appreciate that. That's mad ladding it out. I like it.
Zorokick still behind Ricciardo. So here we saw them earlier up inside the top 10. Taken out by Zorokick, who lost grip of the car and tried to recover, but Zorokick now, you know, they're fighting their way back up through the field. They've had some great pace today across this race. Again, they're driving the Lambo also, which is the car to pick today at Donington. Of course, the race has changed the order up quite a lot, and with a lot of incidents happening across the field, it's sort of taken the Lamborghinis out of the top 5. But across this race as a whole, it seems like the Lambo is going to be the car to beat. They've been performing really, really well, and I mean, look no further than Brennick, who's led this race from start to finish. Jordan Daly, even with that 5-second penalty, has not been able to get within Brennick's time and go for an overtake here. Because, you know, Jordan Daly, we were almost expecting to be fighting with Brennick for the majority of this race. They've got that fastest lap, so we were expecting them to be fighting up at the top. But they've not been close enough yet to really go for a proper attack. So Brennick there, really putting out some great pace, and it's out of that fighting range from Daly.
Oh, that's just it. But you say that, but the gap between Daly and Braddock, I'm looking at it on the same timesheets as you guys can see at home. That was a second, and it's been bouncing around a second, just throughout the course of this lap. I think Daly, it does have the potential to reel them in. There we go. The Delta's just updated again, and there's another 10th quicker. So within a second of Berenich, we'll need to pull the 5 seconds, obviously, to keep that position if they're able to get by. As it stands right now, Daly will, if the race ended right now, Daly would come in P2. That is Jonjic coming into the pits to get the undercut, and of course, the pit window having just opened up, so the drivers have 9.5 minutes to get that car stopped in and serve that mandatory pit stop. So again, strategy. This might be an opportunity for Daly to get past Berenik and just even in the pits.
The only requirement of the pit lane today, I believe, Austin, is splash and dash. You just put 1 litre of fuel in that car. Everything else doesn't really matter. Of course, most drivers will opt in for a fresh set of tyres, a fresh bit of fuel after only taking half of it at the beginning of the race. But still, it go for a really short pit stop here on track today, and drum kick already going into the pits. I think that's smart. They've definitely got damage on that car. Putting it into the pits as when it opens, they can just get it fixed. They don't have to worry about it anymore. Back out on track in their own bit of space. Try and pick off some of these drivers that they've already had to overtake once, and then they won't have to do it again in the pits because they've got that undercut. I think pitting early was a very smart choice with drum kick.
Potentially. I mean, Donington's quite tight, so if you get, 2.5 seconds behind Kuipers, that could be that they're caught behind traffic for who knows when the back markers want to pull in. So you could be stuck behind them for a little bit as Daly gets a little bit sideways going through McLean's there, going to take you to the grass just a little bit. But again, just goes to show just how on the limit that BMW currently is. And looking at the Delta, it looks like they are reeling Berenich in. But is it going to be enough? I think that's going to be the question of everything right now. There's so many questions. Is Ted Edwards going to hold on to first place in that class? Will Daly catch up and pull away from Berenik if they can even get by? Can McFlude catch up through the field? Can Redford hold on to this if they're start tapping away on whatever device it is that they're talking to us in chat on? There's just so much going on right now, Tim.
Absolutely is. A lot of battles happening up and down the field. A lot of texting in the chat right now as Michael Redford continues to type and drive. Suspects pit stop in the bound. So there's a lot to look out for. Oh, Redford has already pitted now down in for them. But John Daly now into the pits. They'll be stationary for an extra little bit of time, Austin, as they serve that 5-second penalty on top of their pit stop. Daly's is once that penalty has been served, it has been wiped clean, so they don't have to worry about it at the end of the race anymore. Calculating in their head as to what position they will finish in, and calculating for us as to what position they'll finish in too. But they should still come out here. By the time pit stops are done, Tutic will be back behind John Daly. Daly can up the pace, they're coming out right in the mix of things. Not going to be good for John Daly at all. Already stuck in traffic, and that's Wilkinson ahead of them right now. Hopefully Daly can clear them quickly, otherwise that pit stop may have been very badly timed off.
Quite potentially, actually, and this is what we're talking about. You're caught behind traffic around Donington. It's so hard to make your way through, and of course these guys are still on the same racing lap. There's no obligation at all for Wilkinson, Vanderland or Edwards to move aside for Daly, despite not fighting it for the same points in the same class. So yeah, no, this could be really, really bad for Daly. But at some point in the next 6 minutes, everyone else also has to stop. And projected times before that, Daly would still have finished the race in P2 had the penalty been applied post race. So there's still the opportunity here. There's a little bit of clear air. Look at the track map. The next car up is Van der Linden. They're only just going into the Melbourne Loop now. So there's the opportunity now for Daly to make that space up. I'm wondering if you're Van der Linden, do you stop early here, seeing Daly coming in behind? Do you just try to not lose time to that fight, and do you pull the car in early? And I don't think they have. No, they haven't. So no cars in the pits this time around. I say that Wilkinson dives in.
Now, if you're Van der Linden right now, you stay on track until John Daly catches up, and then you pit instantly, because you don't want to pit too early and end up in the same situation as Daly was, stuck behind another driver. But that being said, don't want to be fighting Daly and slowing yourself down. So Van der Linde here, they stay out on track until John Daly is within fighting range and actively slowing them down. That's when they then decide to come into the pits. Partez in the pits as well. They've got a 15-second penalty to serve. They're going to be stopped for a very long time. They did manage to recover quite a way up the field, though in the early stages of this race, they probably won't be in last by the time they've finished serving that pit stop. Maybe a couple of cars actually behind them at the end of this pit cycle. So goes peeled for Partez, who, by having a 50 penalty there, may still be able to score something other than last in this race. And with that, your race leader, Romano Berenik, now peeling into the pit lane. Prevent them from getting completely undercutted, although they need to be careful here, Austin, because they do not want to end up caught in traffic. Currently in the lead from start to finish, being caught in traffic now could reopen the door on Daly to catch back up.
That could just be it, and obviously now Daly served that penalty. It's less on your mind, I think, at that point in time. Yes, you've lost the time in the pits, but I just feel like it's if you're Daly at this point in time, it's just kind of it's less to think about. You know, right now the only metric that matters is kind of putting your foot down and getting the result out on track. And I feel like, you know, that's just a bit of a confidence boost for Daly. And look at that, P3, P4, Cusick and Edwards still to make their stop. So doesn't look like the order's been mixed up too badly. But what's the gap? The gap is 6.2 seconds to Daly and Berenik, which means that there's still 28 minutes for Daly to try and close that and try to get around.
Yeah, absolutely. John Daly currently flying towards Berenik. We had some information from our broadcaster, Stewie, that before the pit stops, Daly and Berenik's lap times were near exactly the same. Their last 2 laps before pit stops were less than, a hundredth of a second off each other. So, you know, these two really matching it out on the pace today here at Donington Park. John Daly has taken that fastest lap in the race so far, but Berenik has been holding on to that first place position. Berenik here just trying to clear Ted Edwards on the track. And, you know, Berenik really has been the star of the day. Started on that pole position, Austin way ahead of everyone who they were competing against here. And it's able to hold on to that as well, even with John Daly coming, putting them under pressure too. So really, this is now a battle between Jordan Daly and Berenik in this championship. Right now, I think Jordan Daly, I believe Jordan Daly anyway, will be the second place championship sitter. However, Berenik, if they can steal that fastest lap away, they will be taking home second place in the championship themselves. So it's going to be very, very tight here. 27 minutes as to who's going to take home second place in the championship.
That's just it. That gap down from over 6 seconds to 5 was at 5.6 now. So the gap is closing slowly but surely. But yeah, there's still the opportunity for anything to kind of happen. Alavi also coming up into P4 as well, but still yet to make that stop. 1 minute 40 seconds remaining to make the stop. And so far, Tutic, Alavi, Duret, and Kerrigan, the cars that still need to pull it in.
John Daly continues to try and pick up the pace as they fly around the lap. For now, they've been doing some absolutely amazing previous laps. As the pace that they're going, Austin, catching up with Berenik very slowly but surely. They've been a couple of attempts faster each lap. Now that is 5.6 seconds that they are behind right now. That's a huge amount of time to keep taking chunks out of and try and close up with Berenik. But you know, we've only just got halfway through the race. We've got 26 left to go. If anything was to happen to Berenik, you know, if they were to do a slow lap for whatever reason, that could really bring Jordan Daly back into the mix as well. So keep your eyes peeled on this battle here at home, viewers, because hang on, very interesting towards the end. Kevin Tutic now pitting. That top order will have sorted themselves out. Alavi in the pits as well. It's only Daniel Duret is yet to serve their pit stop. You know, Kevin Tutic coming out onto the track means that Berenik retakes the lead of this race. John Daly now in second place. This is when we really get to see that gap and how big and small it gets. John Daly now up to 5.9 seconds away from Berenik. You know, this is a huge weight to have on your shoulders while you're driving on.
Oh yeah, no, it's just, it's huge. Because you're just going to kind of keep that consistency up as Redford's trying to, Redford's lining up a bit of a bit of a look onto Whittle there. But yeah, no, consistency is always important in racing, and it's even more important now between the top two drivers, because if Bernich makes a mistake, I mean, 5 seconds is, I don't, like, in terms of pace difference in terms of lap time, like half a second around here is a lot, but overall in racing, 6 seconds really isn't it. 6 seconds is a small mistake. 6 seconds is running like too wide onto a curb, or just making a slight miscalculation. If Bernich makes that small mistake, that means that Daly will have that. Redford making the move will happen on Whittle going down into McLeanstown, holding onto it on the run up into Corpus, and so far ahead of Whittle that there's really no kind of chance to fight back. So everything just kind of settling in a little bit now. Look at the track map, everyone's kind of spaced out a little bit, and I suppose in a way, this is the start of the stage where it starts. The mental sort of the mental kind of comes in. It's so easy to kind of like overcome to the exhaustion. It's so easy to sort of like just make a silly mistake because you're overthinking something or you're not thinking enough. You just got to kind of get your composure, and that's what all the drivers are looking to do at the moment.
Like you said, getting into that moment in the race where things have calmed down a bit, and also with that, I want to take you back to something that Mike Redford said earlier on in the chat, which was way back when we were in the wet weather qualifying. They're saying how glad they were to have a rainy setup already prepared for this race from a previous race onwards. Austin, if you're maybe not prepared with making a setup yourselves, if you setups for any sort of track, is there somewhere you could go to find those?
Would you believe, Tim? Would you believe you stole my skit? No, this is the point of the race where it's a really good chance to thank our partners. So yes, no, if you need a setup, Go Setups are the kind of place to go. They've got the esports setups, and they've got the opportunity to kind of have the safer setups as well. So go check those out. Fanatec, again, one-stop shop for direct drive wheels, load cell pedals. We've got the link in the description. Go check that out. AK Esports, they help out with the servers. They're amazing. And also, there's a Driver 61, so you've got the discount code for your driver coaching as well. So check out the link for driver61coaching.com. And then you've got Digital Motorsports as well with the sim rig builder. So go hop over to that website and go configure a sim rig. It's a lot of fun to play around with. Maybe slap the Fanatec on there as well whilst you're at it. So yeah, yep, that's you set me up for that one, Tim.
There you go. Those are our partners who have helped to bring you today's racing, and of course, just a big thank you to our partners, but a big thank you to all of you supporting us at home as well. But for those that do turn up each week, provide support in the chat and support RCI as a whole. So thank you all for showing up today. We've seen a lot of you talking around in the chat. We've had Ash Bibby, Jay Bobbins, Aidan Wolf, Michael Redford has been chatting whilst driving as well, and his name is Callum Kerrigan, who again has been talking whilst they are driving. I feel like we need to have a serious conversation. Some of you who have been driving whilst typing in the chat, keep your eyes on the road. Won't make the same mistake that Callum Kerrigan did, where to untick their tyres in the pit stop, Austin. That's 30-second long pit stops. Kerrigan sitting in the pits for an entire minute.
That's a long time. That's a long time. P14. It feels like they made up so much space from after the qualifying as well, but it does happen occasionally. You're not the last person to do it, and you're not the first person. You're not going to be the last. So don't stress too hard about that. Berinich keeping that gap to about 6 seconds, just over 6 seconds actually, to Jordan Daly. Yeah, really holding on to that lead. McFlude, by the way, after having the moment earlier, after like starting so strong, being set back and making their way back through the field, currently sitting P5 overall, P2 in class. So they've made their way around Vanderlei, they've made their way around Wilkinson. We're talking about consistency. And that is exactly what they've done. Hellman in my ears as well, saying that Snooty's pit stop was actually quite quick as well, so that's definitely helped them along the way. There's the pit stop times as well. So 29.2 seconds compared to the average of being in the 30s. In fact, McFlude had the fastest pit stop of the field. Actually, no, fastest pit stop of the field. The only other person came into the 29 seconds was Berinich.
So for those of you that don't know, that is the total time you spent in the pit lane from start to finish, which means Food and Berenick have both done splashing and dashing, where they've literally put in their amount of fuel that they need to in order to get to the end of the race. No tyre changes for the majority of drivers across the field, only the few who you see towards the bottom. Callum Kerrigan, one of them, and maybe Alavi as well, though I believe Alavi had a penalty to serve. But those are some very quick pit stops, and like you said, Cindy McFood, because of it and their consistency in driving, could be winning this race. They've got the pace to keep up with Ted Edwards here. Things could be getting spicy in the silver split as we continue on. 20 minutes left in this race to go. Austin, yes, there's a quiet moment right now, but don't doubt for a second that things are going to get heated again the closer we get to the end.
Yeah, it's going to blow up. It's really going to blow up. I want to point out as well with the pit stop times, Redford did type at the chat, awful pit stop inbound. These, we've got that metric now, Redford. We can check in on that. So, 48.199 seconds. Yeah, I think you might have called it. Just a little bit of fun, but still running in the top 10 after that kind of qualifying session. Still, and it's still quite an amazing performance. But yeah, no, you're completely right. I think we're about to have a moment where all of this is about to kind of go a little bit nuclear, as final race of the season, final stages of the final stages of the final laps. I think we're going to see some not desperation move, but I guess kind of. I think we are going to start seeing some drivers take liberties and a few opportunities.
As it currently stands, I believe I'm right in saying this, I think Berenick may be taking home that second place in the championship. I think the race win alone will score them enough points, combined with the pole position point get for that as well, give them enough points to get just ahead of John Daly, who currently holds fastest lap and second place in this race. As Jean Kick there clearing Wilkinson. Wilkinson not putting up too much of a fight to Jean Kick, who is the other person in this battle. We said, Austin, day is all about Berenick, Daly, and Jean Kick. Jean Kick kind of getting caught out in this battle, not being able to fight up on the top of the field with the rest of them. Here, race replay, that overtake again. I don't think Reese Wilkinson there really wanted to put up too much of a fight to Jean Kick, just letting them through, preventing any accidents from unfolding. But yeah, Austin, a day that really could have been huge for Jean Kick has turned into a miserable race so far, just on the recovery drive constantly through the field. They didn't have a great qualifying session. They got taken out early on the race. It's not gone ideal for Jean Kick. On the other side, though, Berenick today could be taking home that second place championship standing. They've had the opposite of Jean Kick's race.
No, that's just it. I mean, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, though, isn't it? Especially with the changing conditions between sessions, and people's confidence falls in different places, and then obviously you can't really manipulate the traffic around you too much. You just got to kind of react to it. It's just the way kind of racing goes sometimes. It's why we call some of these incidents racing incidents, because they are just that. Like, you've got cars running at high speed very close to each other. Sometimes, it's easy to assign blame. Other times, not so much. And, that will have an overall effect on, the cars around you, even if you're not directly involved in an incident yourself. Reese Wilkinson still on the back of Jonjic, actually. And Jonjic hasn't really made up too much time on Wilkinson as they're chasing down Van der Linde. Snooty McFlute still chasing down the likes of Ted Edwards. Tutic kind of sitting in their own bubble. Where's Tutic? It's car number 34. So looking at the track map, yeah, 34 just looks like it's in its own little bubble at the moment. 12 seconds behind Daly, and Daly still trying to chase down Berenick, but 6.9 was 5.9. So I am my screen's just a little bit not as clear as it was as I'd like, but no, 5.9 seconds. So that gap staying around about 6 seconds to Berenick.
15 minutes, 48 seconds left in this race, and right now we're watching as Ted Edwards leads for the silver class. Dude, currently 5.6 seconds off the back of them. Reddick in the lead for the pro class right now, with John Daly trying to chase them down, although Daly has been losing a lot of time across the last couple of laps, meaning that Reddick is going to run away with race, Austin. That being said, it's not over yet. Anything can happen in the final stages, and we've not discounted blue flags either. You look at the map, you've got Berenic coming down the long straight into sector 3 right now. They're about to go through the chicane. To only go through the first hairpin now are cars number 137. That was number 28 with it's not number 28, never mind, it's another car, but still, that's lap traffic that Berenic will have to clear if they catch up. That could slow things
Nine
down a bit
seconds
as
though.
well.
9 seconds though, Tim. 9 seconds is the gap between Daly and Bernick. That was 6 seconds just a little bit ago. So that gap is kind of huge now. I wonder if something has actually happened. Jordan Daly onboard replay going down towards the S's. Did something happen? Has Daly had a slight moment in terms of the car and runs on the outside curb? I should expect really attacking the curbs and maybe went a bit wide. No, everything looks kind of. So it looks like everything all in order there, but Hellman again in my ears must have happened earlier in the lap. So now it's looking like Daly's had a bit of a moment somewhere along the way, which has kind of cost them that time, which means that, I mean, the chances of them actually catching up to Bernick right now, given that the pace is so close, 14 minutes remaining, it's starting to look quite unlikely.
Yeah, absolutely. John Daly's hopes of getting back into that top spot are starting to fade after such a promising start as well, going for that really early move out into the first couple of corners, kicking off Tutic very, very early on. It's just falling a bit flat right now. Berenic also having that instant, with Andy Boardman. They caught up to Boardman. They were going for that overtake, Austin. Ever since they had that collision that then caused the penalty, it seems like Daly's just lost that pace that they were originally showing at the beginning stages of the race. So, maybe it's still in it for Daly. Maybe their tyres are just falling off as well. But whatever's been happening with Daly, that pace that they had at the start is definitely.
No, it's really not. So, was it the close fights at the moment? It's looking like it could be between Edwards and McFlew. There's a couple of other little pocket battles happening up and down the field. But between the top three, looking like it's starting to really kind of settle into place. But no, this is just one of those kind of moments where, again, there's so many kind of external influences that happen on the race that kind of like settle things into a rhythm. This is one of those races where it could be really interesting if it was like 2 or maybe 3 hours long. I'd love to see an endurance race around Donington. Not too sure how who I pitched that idea to, but I feel like Donington does lend itself quite well to longer races. But maybe I just want more Donington. Maybe I just want more Donington.
That long ago, I think we had 12 hours at Donington. Actually, I've just said it wasn't that long ago. Pretty sure it was 2 years ago. So actually, yeah, everything I've just said. But I agree, Donington. It's one of those tracks that talked about time and time again how much we love it personally here at RCI. I'm loving it, going for an overtake on Whittle. Two drivers neck and neck going past the start-finish line. So on the inside, we'll have a huge advantage going into the first corner, but not if our Larvi goes in a lot deeper and a lot quicker. I'll be picking off that place on Whittle right now. But yeah, Austin, we were saying, Donington Park, it's definitely in the top 3 for both of us. It's a really fun track to drive on, and it does hand itself to racing as well. So it would be good to see more endurance racing around this track. If you want to get involved at home with some of the racing here at RCI, visit to our website, raceRCI.com/championships. There you can see all of the sign-ups that we have going. We've got open sign-ups right now for a couple of our one-off series iRacing, which is autumn. It's a whole mixture of different series in iRacing, a lot of one-off races, and a couple of series as well. The Legends Cup started yesterday, I believe, at the USA International Speedway, and that was off to quite a fun and hectic start as well. So be sure to go and check that out, as well as the Monday Genetic Cup Season 2 open sign-ups as well. The first race being at Misano on November the 6th. So enjoy the Genetas. Don't miss out on that one, because that will be an incredibly fun season. You know what, Austin? If I was free on Mondays, I would be all over that, because I do love a good Geneta race.
Genetas are a lot of fun. I quite like them. They're fun little cars, very agile. Honestly, I think quite underrated in terms of the GT cars as well. So, looking at the gaps, 10 seconds between Daly and Berenic, 11 seconds between Tutic and Daly. There's a 6.124 gap between McFleod and Edwards, and Brentley John is kind of making the way up through the field. So I think there's a question I'll ask Tim, and this is something that I mentioned, I think, I think it was the first time I commentated Donington Park race. Not the first time. I believe I was with Jesse Lee. Can't, don't misquote me. But I pitched a question to Jesse and to the chat, and well, we're both from the UK, so you've had a Greggs in the past, right? And again, open question: sausage roll or steak bake? That seems to be the big argument. We caused a stir in the chat before. Let's do it again. Has it changed? What's the verdict? Sausage roll or steak bake?
Specifically at Greg's.
Specifically Greggs.
Vegan sausage roll. And before everyone starts hating on me,
I agree, actually.
I'm not a vegan, but undeniably the vegan roll is significantly better than Greg's actual roll. Also, I'm just not a particular fan, and this is really going to get people mad in the chat. I'm not a huge fan of the bakes at Greg's. You know, like, they're nice. I'll happily have a steak bake or a baked bean bake. But you know, they're not my favourites. They're not my go-to. When I go to Greg's, you know what's on my mind? Sausage roll.
I'm with you. I think the vegan sausage rolls, I think, at least taste more like the sausage rolls that the sausage rolls used to be. Sorry, I can't get my words out. The vegan sausage rolls taste more like sausage rolls than the sausage rolls do right now. They changed something with the big ones, but then again, I don't know. Ash Bibby, sausage bean and cheese melt. I've heard good things. I've not actually tried that one myself. Redford, not impressed. Well, is this the person who finishes P11 and doesn't get into the top 10 gets fed a vegan sausage roll? Redford telling us to get cancelled there, Tim.
Yeah, not a lot of people agree with me on the vegan one there, but you know, I'm telling you, don't let the word vegan throw you off here. The vegan sausage roll genuinely, in my opinion, tastes better than the actual one. And don't, like, I'm a meat eater through and through. Every meal I can have meat, I will shove meat in somehow. Pause it, you're not. I know what you're thinking. But you know, the vegan sausage roll is just something else from Greg's. I was laughing at Stewie's comment because they were saying just in the broadcasting chat that it's not a good sign for the actual sausage when the vegan sausage roll tastes better.
I find that a lot of stuff from Greg's, including some of the bakes, do tend to have a bit of a soggy bottom. Not. Sorry, I can't. I'm trying to make puns.
Oh,
I'm struggling. You can't say we have a dull race here with us. This is your Friday nights, guys. This is what you decided to tune into. So Redford's still chasing down Whittle. Only less than 3 seconds behind. So yeah, unless Redford wants to be fed that vegan sausage roll, the best case, then really. And I'm only saying that because I know they can hear me.
Yeah, Redford, please do focus on your race as much as hearing from you in the chat. Like we said, we're very happy to talk to you afterwards as well. But like Redford, you know, they Austin, they need to get up into the top 10. They've done an amazing job in this race. Do you remember before their pit stop, which they knew was going to be slow, they had fought their way all the way up into P6 from P15 where they started. So even if they were to finish just outside the top 10, a significant improvement across this race from their qualifying session. And you know, as a whole, I think Redford has been one of the standout drivers for me today, as someone who's just been consistent across this race, and from it has picked off a good couple of positions.
Oh, for sure. Like, Redford's damage control this whole race has been nothing short of amazing. You know, again, it's hard coming off of a qualifying session where you didn't do so well, because again, it plays on you mentally. Like, it really sort of like, it really hits you quite hard, because you're going into it, you see all the cars ahead of you, you see the mountain you have to climb, and it's really daunting. So to be able to kind of come into it, keep yourself out of trouble, keep as consistent as you are, get yourself into a decent position, and then have, you know, admittedly the slow pit stop, and then come back a second or even a third time from that. That's nothing short of amazing. That's the sort of damage control that, you know, it's really hard to build that resilience up. Because again, we've seen some big names drop out of this race very early on. Look at Bodman. I know Bodman had the huge hit, but I mean Zarsic has also had massive hits, and they're still in the race too, but down in P16. But they're still here on the server. They're still going to finish this race if as long as they finish. But they still have the opportunity to do that. So yeah, no. Massive, massive, massive props to Redford for keeping the head in this and sticking it as well as they have. Daly still chasing down Merenich, but still falling behind. Still plus 10 seconds, but still also holds fastest lap. So that will be another point their way. Looking at the gap between McFluid and Edwards, waiting for McFluid to come across a timing strip, but the last time I saw it was still around about 5 or 6 seconds. So Edwards actually keeping up that gap between McFluid and themselves. Actually, it's 8.2 now, so it might be pulling away from. So that's really good management from Ted Edwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've heard from Redford in the chat saying that their PSIs are gone completely. That means that their tyre pressures have dropped and that they're not feeling comfortable in that car anymore. And they've also been hit to turn 1 as well, apparently. So, Redford is starting to struggle in the latter stage of this race. However, continuing to put out some great pace because of it is still a great job. Rennick extending their lead, like you said, Ted Edwards extended theirs as well, Austin. Those that have had the pace today have really been showing it here around Donington Park. My one question is how is Zorikic, who has served 2 drive-through penalties in this race, in 16th and above Daniel Duret right now? Did we miss something with Duret where they were in the pits for ages? Oh, they were in the pits for 2 minutes and 4 seconds. What happened to Daniel Duret?
Might have been damage. I know they had this huge hit early on going into Coppice. Those between themselves and Partes. So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of damage that needs to be repaired on that car. Maybe it's something as simple as just kind of forgetting to take tyre boxes off as well, because we've, that does happen. That is a thing. We've seen it happen in this race. I believe it's Kerrigan that also forgot to take the tyre boxes off for the pit stop. Obviously, you have to manually kind of navigate the menu as you're racing, which is a bit of a distraction, Redford. A bit of a distraction from actually racing. But yeah, it's very easily missed. So Vandalin still chasing down Jonjic, currently holding P3 in class, but more than anything, holding off the likes of Wilkinson. Wilkinson only 1.5 seconds behind.
2 minutes 50 seconds left in this race. Only a couple of laps left to go as Berenik continues to lead the group of drivers around this track. They're currently on lap 39. I believe do lap 40, and I think Austin, lap 40 may be our final lap of the race here today at Donington Park. Chris van der Linde currently in the greens, running a nice P7 right now as Wilkinson continues to close in on them. Maybe a little bit of a late fight we see spring up between the 2 Ferrari drivers. Van der Linde in the nice green 527 Ibiza racing car, taking of this fight in P7. Wilkinson lurking behind in the white and black Ferrari with the nice red splits down the middle. Eye on this battle as it unfolds, because Wilkinson has been closing on Van der Linde slowly, and now Austin, the race might be about to pick up in the late stages.
It might be. Look at that. That's the closest we've seen cars come together for a little bit now. It's less than a second behind. And, I mean, different strategies as well, different driving styles. I wonder which one of the same car, different setups. I do wonder what the state of those tyres is going to be. A race replay of Redford, and that's just losing it on the exit of the S's. And oh no, that's oh no, and fumbling the recovery a little bit as well. I mean, it's just trying to kind of process the words that I want to say. I mean, hasn't cost them too much. Dropped by a single, not 2 positions. So I didn't lose too much of the grand scheme of things, but still, a disappointing end. But that's what having tyre management, that's what it'll do.
I suppose we'll hear from Mike Redford on their thoughts on that in the chat in just a second, as there's only enough time to type a little bit of a reply there whilst they were stationary. But like you said, Austin, tyre management is a huge part in a race like this. Yes, it's quite short in the grand scheme of races in ACC, 1 hour. It's the short end of the endurance racing that we're used to seeing here. However, tyre management plays a huge part across that hour, and Mike Redford did already say they were starting to struggle. Their PSIs weren't where they wanted them to be. Maybe it was a bit of foreshadowing there from the number 95 driver that things weren't going to go well. But no, only falling down into P13, Austin. They're still up from where they started. And at the end of the day, it's a great race. And Kerrigan picking up a drive-through penalty for track limits there. That's going to give Redford an opportunity to get back another position as well. So, yes, a late spin for Redford, but not all is lost.
No, not at all, not at all. And do you know what? I'm not gonna let that. I'm not gonna let that little spin take away from the fact that they've really driven such a consistent race today. Like, yeah, it was a small mistake, but the margin for error for these things is that small. It's really not an easy thing to kind of keep mentally tabbed in on. So all things considered, Redford still has had an amazing race with a lot of opportunities, and there's plenty of chance to kind of brush up on that and learn some of these lessons in the future, moving forward. Again, one of the drivers I do see a lot of progress with. Um, Looking through things, looking at the gap between Wilkinson and Van der Linde, it's half a second, so a lot of time now for Wilkinson to actually make that move happen for third place in the AM split. But I mean, the opportunities around Donington are very sparse.
Romano Berenik has led this race from start to finish. Started in pole position after an amazing qualifying session for the number 8 driver. And now as the Lambo approaches the final hairpin on the circuit, they are looking to make this a race win to remember. Has it been enough for Berenik in the late stages of the season? Take them all the way from 10th in the championship up into the top 2 spots. This could be enough for them secure second place overall. A huge race win and a huge well done for Romano Berenik and John Daly crossing the line in that second place. They hold the fastest lap here at Donington Park today. Kevin Chuchik going to be your third place sitter for today's race. Coming around the final hairpin now, wiggling their way to the start finish line. Third place finish for the Audi driver Kevin Chuchik, securing that podium slot that they started on as well. Ted Edwards, your silver class winner for today. All they have to do is make it around this final hairpin without doing something insanely stupid. Ted Edwards, though, a brilliant race from them, starting in the midfield for the silver class, climbing their way all the way up to the top. Brilliant overtakes to showcase for it as well. There'll be a winner for silver class today, and Sunny McFood sure to come home in that second place slot. Austin, you know what? Donington Park always delivers great battles across this race, and I think it did come down quite a lot in the second half there. I think the first half definitely made up for that.
Oh yeah, like the first half had again one of those races had absolutely everything, and the first half of the race there wasn't a moment to kind of relax, and there was so much kind of potential and opportunity, but again, the last half of the race just goes to show just how quickly these tires can fall off and how hard these cars are to keep going for such a period of time.
Arguing in the chat about vegan and non-vegan sausage rolls. I say arguing in the chat, they're really not arguing with each other, they're just arguing with me here. But another great debate from today is something I want you to all to try, is to go home from today and try a vegan sausage roll. But on your screens right now are the final standings for today's race. Romano Berenik, your race winner today in the number 8. John Daly in the 197 comes home second place, and Kevin Chutik rounds out the top 3. Ted Edwards, 4th place overall, and your race winner for silver class today. Second place in class, 5th place overall. A great race. Those two silver class drivers, with Van der Linde rounding out the top 3 in the silver class as well. Take a look at those standings. They're going to be playing a huge part in the final overall championship standings. For the fetching for you now. Meantime, if you've not had your racing fix for the week, we'll be back tomorrow for the final round of the Night Owl Championship, where taking on the Hungaro Ring tomorrow in the Night Owl. Be sure to catch that and head over to racerci.com if you get involved in some of the championships coming around the corner. We've already mentioned the Genetic Cup that will be starting back up on a Monday in a couple of weeks' time. Also got the Wednesday Team Champ as well to look forward to in the GT4 cars as well. So head over to racerci.com, sign up for them. But here are your championship standings from after today's race. And you know what? I was wrong. Romano Berenik, your championship winner in pro after today's race, has 199 points. John Daly able to get up into second place in the championship overall. They will be sitting there with 189 points, with Christopher Shepherd, after a no-show today, demoted into third place in the standings, 171 points to their name. Don Kick with 165 points is in fourth place. Kevin Tutick in fifth with 140 points. Robert Alavi sixth place there, 125 points. Andy Boardman retiring from today's race in the end after contact with the wall. And John Daly, 113 points, finishes seventh overall in the standings. Daniel Durrett, eighth place with 94 points. Raphael Huell in ninth place with 78. And Mike Redford, after a great performance today with consistency, rounds out your top 10 with 60 points. And looking further down the field for the pro drivers, George Barr with 58 points is in P11. Claudio Zaza with 23 points in the 12th place. Everyone else with a hyphen has since signed out the championship.
So your standings for the silver class: Cindy McFlew takes the silver championship with 212 points. Ted Edwards following closely behind with 189 in second place. Third place Ricciardo with 158 points. Withall P4, 144 points. Bartes at P5. Zorzic at P6. Reese Wilkinson at P7 with 109 points. Chris van der Linden in 8th place with 86 points. Callum Kerrigan in 9th place with 72. Lee Kettle in 10th place, rounding out the top 10 with 52 points. Oscar Batalon in 11th place with 51 points, trailed by Ibiza Racer at P12 with 48 points. Michael Kupers at P13, Villamas at P14, G.I. Roos in P15, and Oscar Fernandez at P16, and everybody else with a hyphen has signed out.
And those are your championship standings after the final round of today. Of course, today's race was worth double points, which is why you see Romano Berenik shooting to the top of that pro championship. A huge well done to them for the win across this Friday season. But right now in the booth, we have a driver interview ready for you. The race winner of the silver class here today, the second place in the championship overall in the silver class. Welcome in, Ted Edwards, and well done with your race win today.
Oh, thanks, Tim. It was fun, and then towards the end of the race, it got a little bit sketchy.
So talk us through that. How do you mean sketchy towards the end of the race there?
Well, I think at the beginning, I took too much curves trying to fight the Lamborghini. I think that was Zonchik, I think I was fighting at the time. And once I got past him, it was fine, and then like just before pit stop, my right rear decided that it didn't want to be in the 26s anymore, and that it preferred the 25. So I had to try and manage the rear end sliding while not sliding like into the chicane and getting track cuts and stuff. So it was a difficult one to drive, but the car felt really good. At one point I went into TC5 from 4, gave me some grip, and then I noticed Snooty was catching me about half a second a lap, so I had to switch back down and try and concentrate and get some fast laps back in, which luckily I did. But I'm not sure what happened to Snooty, because he did drop off again.
Obviously today you finished P4 overall, including the pro class, and across the season your performance has been amazing in the silver class as well. Looking forward into Fridays in the future, do you think you'll be looking to try and get up into that pro class? Do you think you've got some potential to fight in the top 10 up there?
After today, yeah. Obviously we were missing quite a few pro drivers, like Off wasn't here, which will just wipe the grid clean, as he always does. But yeah, hopefully I can get up to pro for next season. Just have to see what the pre-qualifying track is and see how the BMW does. But yeah, hopefully I can get up there.
Well, just before we let you go, I'm going to pass you over to my co-commentator for today, Austin. Any questions for the race winner in the silver class, Ted Edwards?
Yeah, no, so there's the move I want to kind of talk about real quick. It was on one of the Lamborghinis. I think it was, I can't remember who it was now. There's the really, really big move where you were kind of caught in a Lamborghini sandwich going down into the old hairpin. I think you know the move. I think you know the move we're talking about. Talk us through that. Talk us through that thought process. I think it was Zoricic. There we go. It
It
was
was,
Zoricic.
yeah,
I
it
think we
was.
can actually see it. I think this might actually be the move here.
No, this is going into
No,
the
it's not. It's
chicane.
not. But you know
But
that. Yeah.
I know the one you're on about. Yeah, I had the pro car behind me, which was, I think that was Zonchik actually, the 24 behind me in that orange one, orange and blue, and he was faster than me by far. But I just didn't want to let him through, then split me and the 175 up. So I just stuck it in there, and then coming out T1. I got the run. The Lamborghini in front went deep, so I stayed to the inside and just went too wide. And I was like, this is probably the worst idea I've ever done in racing. But we're gonna find out how it ends, because why not? And luckily, I uh I stayed ahead into the old hairpin, and the 175 I think slipped out, and then the 24 got hit or something. But yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking. So
That's kind of the point I wanted to touch on. Whether it was as scary in the car as it looked from outside of it. But other than that, as per usual, Tim just steals all of the questions. So massive congratulations on the class win today. That's quite a consistent race.
yeah, the M4 is me and the M4 are gelling really well at the minute. Obviously, after the Watkins race as well, Bathurst was good and Laguna wasn't too bad. It's a shame that I couldn't do round one due to not having any pedals, which I have to thank Stewie for helping me out with the pedal situation. I wouldn't be able to do this without him, and yeah, like as well with Daly helping me out with the driving, and just uh, just being there and telling me like what not to do and what to do, and obviously Go Setups gets a massive shout out, because these setups are just really stable. Even the esports setups are really like grippy and just really fun to drive.
Oh, thank you very much, and well done again on your performance today, Ted. Just before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out before you leave today's booth?
Like I just said, I always like shout out my girlfriend. She's there. She sits nice and quietly, bless her, while I do my racing, and she's very supportive in that manner. And the same goes with Daly. He's just we're in the same call together, chilling out and helping each other through our races, just telling each other to push the mush. While if we start getting a bit slippery and start talking, we'll just tell each other to just calm it down a little bit, get on with the race. And yeah, obviously, I'd like to give a shout out to the stewards for stewarding this race, or this championship. It would be a lot different if stewards weren't here, and even like getting out a few penalties here and there to people that deserve it or whatever, and helping other people out who get involved in it by accident. So, gotta give a shout out to them. Obviously, gotta give a shout out to you guys for doing the commentary and the broadcast. So, thank you.
In all the boxes there, and now a little bit of inside knowledge. We now know that John Daly is in fact not your girlfriend, as you did name them separately. So well done, Ted, on today's race win, and we hope to see you again in the future. So best of luck with that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ted Edwards, the race winner for the silver class today, in P2 in the championship silver class overall. Austin, just before we wrap up, what a race we've had here today at Donington Park. A very exciting start, rather a tame finish compared to the rest of it. Can't go wrong with a good race at Donington Park, can you?
No, you really can't. I mean, we got to throw some interaction in there as well. We got to have a really good, meaningful conversation about British culinary, icons basically at this point. But yeah, no, this race has had absolutely everything besides that. We've had really close battles at the front, really close in the midfield, and once again, Donington Park does not disappoint. Lots of drama every single time we come here, and I've loved every second of it.
Some final thank yous to do before we close up. We talked about them earlier on in today's race, but final thank you to each of our partners who have helped to make today possible. We've got AK Esports, Digital Motorsports, Driver 61, Go Setups, and Fanatec. For more information on each of our partners, go to the description of the YouTube video below, and a link to all of their websites is on there as well. Now, of course, a huge thank you to all of you at home for joining us in the chat across this championship. All of your support means a lot to all of us here at RCI as well, and helps to continue races be streamed out. If you've enjoyed today's streams, make sure you've left a like on the video, subscribe as well, and hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when we next go live, which will of course be tomorrow for the night out race. And like I said earlier, if you want to get involved in any of the races, head over to racerci.com. Sign up for one of our numerous championships that we are currently running at the moment. But for now, that is all from me, Tim Peck, and Austin Devonshire tonight at Donington. We'll soon for the next Friday Championship.